It's 2004. Nintendo officially announces the Nintendo Revolution at E3. The console, which was later marketed as the Nintendo Wii, was incredibly successful and became the best-selling Nintendo home console at the time. Aside from the affordable price and the innovative motion controls, many great games were also responsible for the console's success. One of these games, Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart is a popular series of fun racer games for Nintendo platforms. While many other racing games focus on realism, Mario Kart is known for its chaotic fun. It all started in 1992 with Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo, which was an absolute success with 8.76 million copies sold. But that was nothing compared to the success of the latest installment in the series. Mario Kart Wii was first announced at E3 2007. The new installment was advertised heavily, especially the online functions, the increase in the number of players, as well as the completely new Wii wheel. Even though the clueless audience hardly reacted to the announcement, Nintendo's vision turned out to be the right one. When the game was finally released, a year and a half after the Wii's launch, in April 2008, it proved to be an absolute hit. In the US, it sold about 430,000 copies on its first day alone, setting a new sales record. This sales record was also noticeable at the end of the year, as Mario Kart Wii became the most successful game of the year, with almost 9 million copies sold. That was more copies sold in half a year than most of the previous games sold in their entire lifetime. But what made the Wii installment so special? First of all, it should be mentioned that Mario Kart Wii was released very early in the life cycle of the Nintendo Wii. A year and a half after the console's release, fans were still hungry for many new experiences, and Mario Kart Wii was the perfect game for that. In addition, the game also made good use of the Nintendo Wii's big gimmick, motion controls. While motion controls are not being forced on players, it was one of the features advertised most for the game. The all-new Wii wheel turned the Wii remote into a steering wheel, offering a whole new way to experience the game. And the good thing was that the steering wheel was also included with the game, so no additional purchase was necessary. The game therefore offered everyone, whether newcomer or veteran, the possibility of a somewhat unconventional way of playing, which was in no way inferior to the normal control options in terms of fun. However, in order to increase the driving fun even further and to give players even more customization options, bikes were also added for the first time in addition to the karts. Originally, this was something that had already been considered for Mario Kart Double Dash, but Nintendo decided at that point that bikes were a bit too bizarre for the game. For the Wii installment, however, they changed their minds, and each player was able to choose between karts and bikes. For balancing reasons, it wasn't the best idea in the end, but it definitely helped the gameplay, as the bikes were also a bit different than the karts in terms of gameplay. Since the Nintendo Wii was already proving to be a huge success at this point, and was completely sold out in many places for several years. No, not kidding. Nintendo also used a large marketing campaign to promote the game properly. Television, magazines, online media. Mario Kart Wii was pretty much everywhere for some time. Due to the huge Nintendo Wii hype and the huge success of the Mario Kart Wii marketing campaign, an incredible amount of fans were excited for the latest installment of the Mario Kart series. And when Nintendo gave fans the opportunity to play the game at the Nintendo store in New York, one day before the game's official release, the queue was more than just full. Plenty of fans had gathered to play the game beforehand, and it quickly became clear that the Mario Kart fever would soon spread worldwide. Fortunately, the new installment was not worse than its predecessors. It was the first home console Mario Kart to offer players 32 tracks instead of just 16. The 16 additional tracks were only remakes of tracks from older games, but that didn't make them any less fun. It also offered the most characters. While the DS installment had a measly 13 characters, Mario Kart Wii had 24, some of which were featured for the very first time. Rosalina, Funky Kong, Dry Bowser, Baby Peach and Baby Daisy. Having more characters to choose from was important, as Mario Kart Wii was also the first game in the series to increase the number of drivers from 8 to 12. This meant that even more players could compete against each other, which was probably the most important change for some people, as it also offered online multiplayer, so you were able to compete against friends or random players from all over the world. It sounded cool in theory, but due to poor online servers, the online mode wasn't perfect by any means, and anyone who played Mario Kart Wii online back then will know that it was also plagued by cheaters. It was not uncommon to compete compete against cheaters, and they pretty much ruined the online experience. But at least the races against normal players were enjoyable. This gave Mario Kart Wii a greater community feeling than the older titles, which would later prove to be important. What Nintendo had in mind while creating the game seems pretty obvious: to create the biggest and most fun Mario Kart game that can be enjoyed by newcomers and veterans alike. And their mission was an incredible success. The Wii installment became one of the best-selling games of all time, with about 37 million copies sold. This was around 4 times as much as the previous best-selling home console entry in the series, and also the second best-selling Mario game of all time at the time. This series was already popular before, but Mario Kart Wii made it so much more popular, so it had been done. Mario Kart Wii was one of the biggest successes Nintendo had ever had, and gamers enjoyed playing the game with people from all over the world. All's well that ends well, or so you would think. In February 2014, 6 years after the release of Mario Kart Wii and 8 years after the release of the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo announced that the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection would be discontinued in 3 months, and 62 Nintendo games would no longer be playable online. While it's perfectly normal for such things to happen after some time, some fans accused Nintendo of only doing it to boost sales of the Nintendo Wii U, which ended up being a massive failure. The real cause, however, was that Nintendo wasn't hosting the online infrastructure themselves, but used the services of GameSpy, which shut down in 2014. This little incident was not going to be the end of Mario Kart Wii though. Fans took it upon themselves to expand the game and restore it to its former glory. Because even today, 15 years later, Mario Kart Wii still has a very big, active community. While the game is certainly limited in its content, a very active modding community has made it their mission to expand and revive the game. There are, for example, mods for many different characters: Sonic, Kirby, Pauline, Nikocado, Avocado. All your dream characters are available. But also mods for lots of new tracks. CTGP Revolution has added more than 200 new tracks since 2014, which you can enjoy alone or with friends, offline or online. The announcement trailer for the Mario Kart Wii Midnight mod, which adds 200 new tracks, as well as a few other things, was only released 2 months ago and has already gotten more than 200,000 views. The Mario Kart Wii community is still alive and well, and enjoying all the new content that makes Mario Kart Wii arguably the biggest Mario Kart game ever. And this enjoyment of the game also motivated the veterans. Mario Kart is known for its time trials, and the Wii installment has kind of become a speedrun game over the years. Every day fans compete with each other to break previous world records. The game may be many things, but there's definitely one thing it is not: well balanced. The bikes and karts are not well balanced, and in the character lineup there are some clear favorites who are much better than the other characters. Thus, crazy times can be achieved on the tracks by also using shortcuts and bugs and glitches. On the 12th of January 2021, Arthur managed to become the first person to perform the so-called Ultra shortcut on the Rainbow Road. Previously, this was only achieved with the help of tools, and according to his own estimates, he trained for about 130 hours and tried it more than 20,000 times, just for this one shortcut. In fact, this Ultra shortcut was the most sought after shortcut in the game, and thousands of players tried to perform it over the years. This shows very well how much the community loves this game, and that an incredible amount of time is invested in mastering it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a hardcore Mario Kart Wii fan or have only played it every now and then. It's a great game that was loved by gamers worldwide, then and now, and has certainly stood the test of time.